now.
So, first of all, the transition from world-class, successful, winning much more than you're losing, and striking fear in the hearts of an opponent, to the boardroom, where you're measured not necessarily by wins, but by return on investment. Easy? Difficult? What's the transition been like?
First of all, it's been sort of like a great experience. I'm obviously very honored and humbled about the fact that I'm participating and helping out run this incredible event that we have here in Indian Wells. And, coming off the tennis court, being a professional tennis player and sort of only worrying about myself and making sure that I get the best out of it that I need and trying to improve my ranking and trying to win matches. It's a whole different situation now where you have an amazing team here running the event and you're looking at different aspects with different eyes. And it's been a great learning curve for myself, and it continues to do so. And I'm looking forward to many ways of trying to improve this tournament, which is not an easy thing to do.
Well, and you've landed in the right place. We'll talk about that in a minute. So 20, if my math is right, so you turned pro in 96, so 22, 23 years of worrying about yourself on the court, and now
right.
You've got to run a series of executives and make sure they like you, are empowered by you, and work well with you. Obviously, the management skills transition. What's the one thing you've taken away from your tennis on-court abilities that have helped you off-court?
I don't know. I think a little bit of determination, trying to get things done, being very precise and looking to be, I guess as a tennis player, with the thing that you always try to do is try to perfect things, which is obviously the wrong thing to do because nothing seems to be perfect. And but you, especially in an individual sport, you always try to go out there and try to have that sort of mindset because, and on the other hand, you always try to figure out a way to win. And so, you don't wanna be in the position where, if you want to change things and then do things for the tournament that are in the best interest of the fans, the sponsors, and the players, and me being a former player, I just want to make sure that everything of those things are taken care of. And, the people, the team that has been working here for many, many years have done an incredible job. We are obviously very blessed as well to have an owner such as Larry Ellison that has an amazing vision. And I'm here now, part of the team, trying to keep that vision growing more and more. And that's part of my job as well. And it's very exciting, to tell you the truth.
And ladies and gentlemen, for this international audience, let me just provide an obvious perspective. The guy retires last July. He beats Roger Federer in his final tournament. He's the comeback player of the year in 04 and 12. And now you ask him a couple questions that could just as easily reverted to I. Here's what I did in the tennis court. He is absolutely part of the team. Well done, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that, yeah.
Well, but obviously you also have a heck of a tournament to run, and I know there's a lot more to be done. That's your nature. But tell us how the tournament this year is improved from last year, for example.
Well, to be really honest with you, last year we had such a huge improvement of, really taking Stadium 1 apart and just really making it, a first-class stadium. It was built first and back in the year 2000. And when you have so many people coming in and the stadium is full of 16,300 people, we didn't really have enough concession stands, and the suites weren't really up to date, and bathrooms were only on the lower floor. So we really were trying to make sure that all the fans sitting in the stadium would get the best of it, and that's where the best matches are going to happen most of the time towards the end of the tournament, and that really showcases our site here. And I was always joking about it, even last year and a few years ago, that, Stadium 2 came around about 5 years ago, and Stadium 1 was getting very jealous over there because, Stadium 2 was having, 3 restaurants that you can overlook and watch tennis. One restaurant such as, Nobu as well, where you're going, okay, what's going on here? Stadium 2 has the most attention. But so that was really the big thing that we did last year. This year, it's kind of been a little bit more about the full bloom campaign. Bringing in more flowers, more palm trees, more shaded areas for the fans, because it does get quite hot here in the desert during the day, and we just want to make sure that, they do get enough shade and see the beauty of it. It's also called here the Indian Wells Tennis Garden, so we really wanted to emphasize on that as a change, and I think so far the feedback from the fans that have been here watching the early matches, the qualifying has been going on, getting some nice feedback.
The whole world of facility development has evolved over the past few years, and one of the terms owners are using these days, and the one thing that they're most worried about is the term they made up called decouching, which is You want to make sure that people aren't so excited about the television experience that they stay on their butt and they don't come out to the stadium. Puts more pressure on facility operators like you. How do you deal with making sure that the media and television covers the event right, but still provides such a unique experience that people have to come to the stadium as well?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, and I think that's a job from all of us to come together and work together and make sure that we understand what is important for what the fans want, for making sure that, hey, come on out here, look at this beautiful Indian Wells tennis garden. We have more areas where you can sit and enjoy and have a great meal. You know, the food has been also really something that we've been trying to improve, to make the food also like a world-class place where you can come out and have, like I said, such as a Nobu experience, so you can go to Spago, maybe even run into Wolfgang Puck, who's coming this weekend, and then you have the idea of, you know, making it so fan friendly. You know, the chances for you to come out here and say, you know what, I'm a fan of Roger Federer, I'm a fan of Serena Williams. The chance of you seeing them so up close and personal is very highly, and you can see what time they're practicing on which outside courts, and be there and possibly get even an autograph session. You know, they also have a great area where all the players warm up, and you can be right there in the front row, all seeing that happening with your own eyes. So if you're truly a tennis fan, it's obviously a no-brainer for you to come out. But even if you're not a tennis fan, it's great to come out here and experience those things and see it for yourself. And as we know, when we go on vacation, you know, I think also one of the most important things is, like, you know, how's the food? What am I going to have for lunch or for dinner? And you have that here. And that's really something that we really paid a lot of attention to. And so the overall experience, I can tell you, is something you will get nowhere else.
Man, you listen to you, and we're going for the food. We're not necessarily going for the tennis. But on the tennis side of it, it is interesting, right, Tommy? Because even if you're a tennis fan or not, you have one of the best players in the world, Serena Williams, who's not even seeded. How did that happen? I know how it happened, but explain it to people.
Yeah, right. You know, she obviously took a little break due to the fact that she became a mother. So obviously, congratulations to her and her husband. A very exciting time for her. It's very exciting for us that she decided to come here and play here. I hope that she's feeling great, that she's ready to go. And everybody that is a tennis fan and a Serena fan can't wait to see what she's going to bring to the table. And that's another thing why it's so exciting. You have the best players from the men's side and the women's side here in Indian Wells this week, and we can't wait to get it started.
On the men's side, you know, Rafa Murray injured, obviously, Roger and Djokovic there. At the Australian, there was a lot of chatter about the grueling schedule. Nadal clearly made that comment. What's your take? And I know you have to be political, but there are a lot of injuries on the tour. How do you deal with the busy schedule and yet get everybody to understand that these players are exposure vehicles for tennis, so they got to play as much as they can? How do you do the balance?
Yeah, that is very hard, and it's very individualized for each and every player. You know, I think if you're a top 10 player, if we're talking about Roger, Rafa, Djokovic, Murray, you know, you are basically in charge of making the right schedule, making sure that you are going to be in top shape for obviously the Grand Slams, which you want to win, and obviously the Masters Series, such as this one here in Indian Wells, that you want to win, accumulate a lot of points, and possibly also, you know, increase your prize money status. But that's what's so tough to decide at times. And you know how it is. The sport has gotten so physical. It's very tough out there. All the players that are in the draws can play, so everything is getting tougher and tougher. There are no easy matches anymore. At the Grand Slams, you're also playing best of 5, and then, you know, in between, maybe there's Davis Cup going on that you want to present your country, and so there's a lot at stake. And the team constantly will try to advise the players what's the right thing to do. Then if you go and play a tournament and you might lose early, you might want to play another tournament because everybody knows how important confidence is going into it. Now, very few people are as blessed and as good as a Roger Federer, so if he decides to only play 10, 11, 12 tournaments and pretty much wins every single one, he can have a less of a crazy hectic schedule. And Serena pretty much has done the same thing over the years, so that has also helped prolong their career. But yes, and then talking to me, you know, somebody that only had 9 surgeries and trying to keep coming back, you know, it's like, you know, usually one thing can lead to the next as well. You know, the body is an amazing tool. It compensates. You know, once you get over this injury, then something else comes up because you've been compensating. That's what Rafa Nadal is kind of going through. You know, Andy Murray has been going through that for a while, but ends up having to have hip surgery. Now Djokovic is in that stage, and, you know, these guys, you know, they're top athletes, and it takes a lot out of them.
What's it like with you getting up in the morning after 9 surgeries? Does everything crackle?
So far so good. I wonder at times, how's it going to be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I signed up to play a little tennis on the Champions Tour, which I'm very excited about. Gives me a reason to go still out there, try to stay in shape, hit some balls and compete, which is obviously fun. And as a competitor in any sport, I think you can never really let go of that. So, but so far so good. But, when you have hip surgeries, and you had hip surgery, ankle surgery, and 4 shoulder surgeries, and elbow, blah, 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 I'm just happy that I actually can still walk straight.
Well, I will tell you this, and you don't have to agree, but I am in South Florida, and I saw McEnroe play in Delray last week, and you have absolutely nothing to worry about. So,
okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, well, just a couple final questions for you. This is the biggest tournament in America, clearly, and the largest ATP World Tour and WTA combined 2-week event in the world. And so, big deal. What's it like, basically, running this event as opposed to, I know you've talked to some of your colleagues who run smaller events. Is it twice the headache, twice the excitement? What's the deal?
I think a little bit of everything, for sure. It's obviously excitement. You as a Master Series 1000 and a premier event, the best players are going to come to your event, so you don't have the headaches of trying to get players to come. It's again, with the facility that we have and the history that we have, and for the past 4 years on the men's side and women's side, we've been voted the best tournament of the year. It makes things a lot easier at times. And again, I come from a point of view now where I want to still try to improve a lot of things here at the facility, talk to the players. But a lot of players always are just, I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to come to Indian Wells. I can't wait to play at the event again. Thank you. So obviously we are in the right, we're going into the right direction, but there's always room for improvement, as you know.
Almost final question, Tommy Haas. If you had a magic wand, what would you do to kind of change the state of American and worldwide tennis governance-wide? This is not a question of how you get more Americans successful in tennis. This is a question of how the sport is governed and what would you do to TV? What would you do to the ATP and WTA? Or are you happy with it the way it is?
Well, I don't even know how to begin to answer that question because it gets very, very complicated with all the different governing bodies involved. You wish that everybody could just maybe come together and figure out what's best ultimately for tennis. And when you have maybe a few people that really are only about that and only worry about what is best for the sport of tennis, that's maybe a way to go and look at it and see if you can do something with schedule tournaments, worldwide. But overall, I think as well, if you're really opening up the books, I think if you're a young girl or boy out there in the world and, you like the tennis racket at age 5, 6, or 7, and you say to yourself, you know what, I want to become a professional tennis player one day, you're going to be pretty lucky to be playing, that sport because it is a great sport and you're playing around the globe, which is great, and the tournaments just keep getting better and better.
What an ambassador for tennis. That was a great answer, by the way. And then finally, so should you be a little offended or are you excited that in your bio, the third line before your winnings is that your father was a former schoolmate of Arnold Schwarzenegger? What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Because of that, I've gotten to meet Arnold a few times. And, if you really listen closely, I think you can sometimes hear the accent. It does come out here on my side as well. Can't get rid of that.
Closely. You sound more like Arnold than Arnold. What do you mean, listen?
Yeah, I can do a pretty good intimidation with him too. But no, it's obviously cool. He actually watched me play a long time ago at the tournament in Los Angeles, and seeing him sit there and getting to know him afterwards, and still being friendly with him over the years is obviously great. He's one of my in some ways one of my icons. To be honest, if you look at his story, what he has done, what he has created, it's pretty phenomenal.